Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for your concern. You're here with Berenice.
And I'm Ella. Welcome back. It's a beautiful day to be alive.
Yes,
Literally,
it
sun is
is.
shining. Happy Juneteenth, baby.
Woo!
Berenice, how you feeling? How you living?
I'm feeling good. Like there's something in the air where it's giving unbothered, but also like in the feels. It's like an interesting place to be. Things are, I don't know, it's like a light air, but it's a very like dreamy aura for me. But I'm like very grateful for this day off. Thank you, Black people, for all you do, your fashion, your music. You inspire us every day. We would not be here without you. And try to try to just take it easy today. What about you?
I'm excited. I'm excited. Well, I have like not super lengthy update, but two parts to the update. So this week, my aunt got honored by the school that she's worked for 40 years, and they renamed the Performing Arts Center Tudor Hall. And so I got to go to the dedication of that. And it was really
Wow.
special. Shout out to Tina Tudor for all that she's done for her community. But it was really cool to see what building a community, how fulfilling it can be, and how is impactful on such a local level. I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I can't make a difference in this world because a lot is going on and there is a lot of things that you don't have control over, but you can make a big difference in your community by just showing up consistently. It was like super inspiring to be like, okay, so this is what advocating for your community looks like on a local level. And I think it's something that people really take for granted. So I was like, I'm getting emotional talking about it. But it was just to see, the first person that came and talked was like, usually people don't get their flowers until they're dead. And so we want to like honor Tina while she's here, instead of all these dedications that we do like post mortem. And I was like, yeah, that is really impactful. And that was another thing to remember, that like thank people while they're here, for all that they do in your life. And it was like very special to celebrate that. And then it is Juneteenth as like a second part
Mhm.
of my update. And babes, we don't do plugs of the week as much anymore, but let me give you
No.
the big ones if you're
Ooh,
interested.
okay.
So these are some book recommendations that I would recommend. This is called Stamped: From the Beginning: The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America. It's a
Mm,
thickums, but it's like an anthology of racist ideas, and it's a little like, it's like shocking because it's like things that you had no idea had racist
yeah.
roots are racist. And then
Yeah.
this other one is 400 Souls, A Community History of African America, 1619 to 2019. So it's like 400 years of the history of African Americans from being stolen from Africa. So those are two books I would recommend, and they're both available on audiobooks. They're deep, but I think they're like, sometimes people are like, how did you get radicalized? And it's like reading is learning. It's really hard not to like become radicalized when you understand what's going on in this country. So those are just two books that I wanted to recommend today. But we have
I
a
love
very
that.
fun, yeah, we have a very fun topic that's not related to Juneteenth, but like shout out.
No, I mean honestly, like I feel like a lot of people like don't even know like what today stands for. They just know they have it off. Education is always nice. If you want like not an audiobook but Code Switch, NPR is a podcast and they do different topics every week. And that's one's also like really interesting. They did one when you brought it up, I thought about it. It's like the racist history of like cigarettes and like nicotine addiction, and it's very interesting. So if you are down for like, and these ones are only like 20-30 minutes long, so if you want to start somewhere, if you're just curious, open your mind. Code Switch, NPR is a good podcast.
Oh my gosh. So, you told me about how I built it because we were talking about
Mhm.
like how we're business girlies and listening to business girlies podcasts. The first built it, or how I built it, that I just listened to, and I'm now like I'm addicted to, is the brand like, I think it's Brogio. It's like Bridgeo. It's this brand that's inside Sephora, and I actually use all their products. But she actually is an African American woman who literally like her mom was making recipes for their hair because at the time there just like wasn't products, because now like the ethnic hair care is like a huge industry, but it wasn't that 50 years ago. And I thought
Yeah.
I was like, I would have never known that if Berenice didn't recommend that podcast. So listen to her podcast recommendations because she's got good ones.
There's good ones.
All right, baby. Should we get into our fun, silly episode?
Yes. Let's do it. Today we have a fun.
A funsies. Well, thanks for your concern. All right, baby. We're doing an updated new red flags because I have matured and now I have new red flags. Okay, I don't even remember my old red flags. Now my new red flags seem so specific, but I'm excited. We haven't seen each other, so it's gonna be like reaction to each other's new red flags.
Reaction. Okay, I'm starting. Strong. Anime. If you like anime, get away from me, bro.
Oh my god, that is so strong, bro.
Yeah. Naruto or Dragon Ball Z, get away from me. Okay, so here's the thing, right? That I've been studying about anime.
Send this to my cousin because this is his like identity.
Yeah, I was like, what are they putting in this anime that is making all these boys so wacko? Okay, so here's the thing: in anime, all these people go on like these hero quests where they are like, they have to do all these side quests before they can show up in a way like for their family or for like a bigger mission. And I think that's sending the wrong message, okay? Because I've been seeing this play out in relationships where they're like, I just need to go be this person before I can show up for you. No, that just makes you like a shitty communicator. Like, you're not on your hero quest. You know what I mean? Like,
this is so oddly specific, but wildly relatable. I understand 100% what you're saying.
Yeah, these people are like, well, I have to go like conquer demons and like figure all this bullshit out before like I can like be like a brother to my sister. What? Like, I think that's sending the wrong message. I think it's more about let me grow up and be present for the people that I care about. That is the correct message, right? So I'm against anime. I think like if you're really into anime and you're watching several things of anime and that's what you're consuming, those narratives, you might not be for me, babes, unless you feel like you've already conquered like your hero quest. You already, fought your demons, but mainly they have not fought their demons.
Okay, mine, I'm gonna come out the gate. That's like about as hot of a take. Honestly, now a dude with kids. I know this might rub some people the wrong way.
Really?
I used to be about the dudes with kids, but I would just say that here's the situation and what I found. I feel like you have to be super settled as a person, or you're gonna have to make sacrifices for somebody else's kid. Like, that's just has to be the expectation. And I think that's like totally fine and good if you want to do that. But if I'm thinking about like where I am in my life, I feel like it's gonna be unbalanced because it's like you have to put your kids first. Like, that should be the expectation. I would never want to date a guy who didn't put his kids first, but then that also puts me in the position where it's like I can't move. I also just have a preference not to communicate with like another grown person. Like, that's just another thing that you cannot control. So it's like some people have awesome co-parents and are awesome co-parents. Some people aren't. And when I think about my life and where I am right now, I want it to be as simple as possible for me. And I feel like the dudes with kids just makes things a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, I guess that one's very personal.
Yes.
Yeah,
these are my personal red flags.
Yeah. No, I'm stating it to the universe, but I feel that I think I'm on the opposite of that one. I don't think like dudes with kids are necessarily a red flag, at least for me. I think the red flag would be like how volatile it is with the baby mama.
Yes.
That
Well,
might be a red flag for me. But, you know, like if you're out here trying to keep the peace, you got a good thing going and you just have a couple kids. It really just depends when you're in your life and if you want to be a mommy, you know?
that's what I'm saying. But I feel like
I don't want to be, you're like, I don't want to be a mommy.
I used to want to be, but now I just feel like you have to come into like the perfect co-parenting situation that I feel like people are people, and I feel like that's just really complicated. And like, okay, for instance, I know people that have multiple baby mamas, and now we're coordinating with two fucking people, and so it's like that just adds complicity that I just feel like I can find lots of people that
Yeah.
don't have baby mamas, so why don't I uncomplicate it for myself?
Oh, 100%. Multiple baby mamas might also be a red flag for me, to be honest with you. Like before the age of 40, yeah. What's going on here?
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like if you have more than like, I don't know, but like, I guess I'm not old enough for it makes sense for you to have more than one baby mama. You know what I'm saying? And
Just, yeah.
also, it's like it's kind of being on. If you have like 2, 3, then you're just unresponsible. You're not
Wrap it
responsible.
up, you know?
Yeah, wrap
Yeah.
it up. You know,
What
I
is
just don't
this?
think I'm a planner, babes. We're gonna need to plan a lot more than that. So, you know, hot take.
Hot take. Okay. Baby mamas. My next one is a specific type of sunglasses. Now, you may be familiar with these, okay? And they're like holographic. They're like big. They kind of cover like your whole face. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'll send you a picture
Bro,
right now
I
so you can
literally
see.
am, I'm gonna have to send that. So you guys know I have a roommate, and he is literally all of Berenice's red flags right now.
Well, listen.
He watches Naruto
God bless
every
him,
night,
but
and he has
I
these
would not date
sunglasses.
him. You know, like I
Yeah.
love him dearly, so much love for him. Would never date him. You know, like no beef whatsoever. Just not for me. But yeah, so you know the glasses. They're holographic. They
Yes.
cover your face. Every single fuckboy I've ever like dated has had that pair of glasses. And I have expressed to all of them that these glasses also just don't look good on their face. You know what I mean? I'm like, ew, like the first thing I think of is, ew, these glasses are stupid. And second of all, you look so dumb.
Okay. I'll say something like, I feel like if any guy looks like he's ready to go on Love Island, I'm like an outfit that's like Love Island coded, I'm like, red flag, bitch. Like, I just have a feeling you're a fuckboy. Like, you're giving
Mhm.
Love Island, I don't want to commit energy. And it's like the button up top, the pearl necklace, you're just like,
And it's so
no.
sad. It's so sad. Well, I watched this TikTok about men like weaponizing their femininity when it comes to like clothing and aesthetics to make them look like soft boys, but they're really just like fuck boys that just like have adapted certain styles.
Yeah.
Period, bro. The pearl necklace, give that back. Give that back. That's not for you anymore. Yeah, so that's how I feel about these sunglasses. There's just something about them. I think they're ugly, and two, I think anyone who wears them just ends up being like childish and stupid. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And next up.
Okay. Honestly, I feel like polyamorous men who are interested in non-poly women, I feel like that's a red flag. Like, what's your angle here? I'm confused. Or people who are in polyamorous relationships, but it's like newly opened. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
That's a red flag, because it's like, it wasn't working, so we're gonna do open. No, 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 no.
I'm not gonna lie, I have never believed that when a man says that. I'm like, oh, does your girlfriend know? Does your girlfriend know you're in an open relationship? I'm gonna need some confirmation. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to have that in writing. Like, you should probably like have her sign something because I'm not messing with you unless like there's consent from her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need that. That's first of all, that's a lot of drama. Also, I've had a conversation with a guy once because I know he has a girlfriend. Like they're posting pictures with their new like puppy type of situation, right?
Oof.
And yeah, no, like it's bad.
That's
and,
like a marriage, girl. New puppy.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. And this
Yeah.
man's bothering me, you know? And I'm like, no. So I was drunk and so I called him and I was like, don't you have a girlfriend? And then he was like, yeah, but like we're open. And I'm like, does she know that? Are you sure? He's like, can you confirm that statement? And then we went into a whole conversation about like why he's not happy and blah, 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 blah. So I was like, there's a lot of layers between this like open relationship that could or could not be open. Stay away from those.
Yeah,
I have
I
things
just like
to figure out.
I've like interacted with a couple poly men, and like one of them I didn't know he wasn't poly, of course, right? Which is like it's chill, it's whatever. But then I like when I say I'm not poly, I feel like then what are we doing here, you know? And like you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of reasons a lot of people try to make their relationships work by turning them inside out sideways. And you know, if you're cool with that, then that's definitely a dynamic I can't navigate through.
Yeah, it's just like no thank you.
No,
Also, it's
thank
just
you.
like why do I want to be like your second girlfriend? Like what the fuck are you talking about? You know? Like I think there's difference
Yeah.
between like people who are polyamorous and in ethical polyamorous relationships, which honestly I have like we have no ethics board to verify whether you're in an ethical non-monogamous relationship. We just have to go off your word. So like you're better your words better align with your actions because this doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't seem ethical. That's all I'm saying.
Men will say anything. I don't trust anything
Right?
that comes out of their mouth. So I doubt it. I doubt you're on the same page. Like you know, unless the shit's in writing, literally signed, maybe. But also there's some it's funny because now there's like people that you've known before that will like hit you up that have girlfriends to be like, oh, we're open. I'm like, sir, I've known you. I've seen you in love. And I know when you're like fixated on a woman. So I don't know what this dynamic is that you got going on with her, but it doesn't sound like I need to be involved in that.
No, that's crazy cuckoo bananas town.
Yeah. You know, go figure that one out with your girlfriend. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Or break up, babes.
You know, another one I would say it's if they're too touchy at the beginning. Overall, if like men are just too touchy with women, period. I'm like, why do you feel like you can just do that? You know what I mean? And
Like I don't know you. You're a stranger.
Like yeah. Or like when people try to like grab your waist to like get you to go somewhere. I'm like, you don't have to grab me there, sir. That's like a weird spot. Like your hand doesn't automatically like fit there. You know, like you had to put it exactly there. So can you just like do my shoulder or something? Like, you know, it's weird. Another one that goes with red flags is sometimes I like to set small boundaries in the beginning. Specifically, like if somebody's really touchy at the beginning and you tell them like, hey, actually, like I'm not down for this, and they keep touching you, I'm like, oh, this person does not understand boundaries. You know what I mean? Like that is one of the easiest like little boundaries things to do. So I would say if you're like trying to suss out somebody and see if they can follow boundaries, just lay really little ones at the beginning and see if they follow through with those.
Oh yeah, that's major. That's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh, one of mine is like I feel like you have to be like out of your hoe phase, okay? Like a word for me when someone's like I'm ready to settle down. I would prefer that you're already settled and just are like looking to add someone into your life instead of looking for the right person to settle down. You know what I'm saying?
The hoe phase, here are my indicators for a hoe phase, okay? Because there's actually a lot, and like now that I've entered men's lives in like a lot of their hoe phases. I feel like I got a good indicator of what they mean. If anything, they start with like, oh, I'm just seeing like where the vibe takes us. He's a hoe. Okay. Can I just catch a vibe? No, because you're catching like 10 vibes, okay? Another one is if they state that they're not a fuckboy. That man's a fuckboy. I know I look like this, but I'm just not that. if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like their relations to how they approach other girls and how they set the tone at the beginning. They'll do little inklings of questions to see where your boundaries are based on like one guy asked me like, "Oh, if we're like out together and like a girl tries to talk to me, like, you know, like how would you feel about that?" And I'm like, "Then you should go talk to her. Stop wasting my time." The fuck?
Okay, that's hilarious. I feel like if a guy it's like out of a just newly out of a relationship, like
Mm.
I'm like kind of newly out of a relationship or feels like they're now healed from a long-term relationship. They're not, you know what I'm saying? No offense, no one is. You know what I'm saying? You're like you say you're ready. If you were in a relationship for 4 years and then 3 months later you're like, "I'm ready to settle down again." I don't believe you fully. I just don't.
Maybe not the settling down part, but I think like an indicator is how long they've been out of the relationship. One, if it's like a few months, there's some unresolved stuff there. I personally, I wouldn't want to be the rebound. Let another girl find that out. It's not gonna be me though. And also I would say with that, if they, how they talk about their ex girlfriend is just like an first of all, if they bring
Me
them
too.
up at all and how they bring them up, right? Like if you ask and they tell you, cool. But if they're over here bringing them up, or somebody says something and they're just like, "Ugh, that reminds me of my ex. Like I hate her or whatever." If they hate their ex girlfriend, he loves her. She that is still her man, okay? And you should let them work that out because that might be the love of his life, okay? So,
Yeah, I think if the ex comes up, the best response is, "Wish her the best. I hope, she finds the right person. It wasn't me." That's like the best. But like, "I hate her."
yeah.
I'm just kind of laughing because sometimes it's like, I just think it's really funny when people, what they're saying is not lining up to what they're saying. They're like, "I'm totally over my ex." But then, like, later in the night, they're drunk calling them, and you're like, you're totally over your ex. Like, that's not like with people I've been dating, but like people like my friends, I'm like, "I'm so over my ex, I'm so over her." And I'm like, you bring her up a lot for being completely over her.
100%. Or like when my friends are like messing with somebody and then they're like, "Well, I don't know if he's over his ex." I'm like, "Then why are you trying to fuck around and find out? All you're gonna find out is like he's really not over her." Like
Yeah.
that is the only thing you're gonna find out. I would say also if they are still in contact with them, you're like, "Oh well, we just like have the same friend group. We run into each other." That's not enough of a reason why to be in contact with your ex. Believe me, like I guarantee it, he's still entertaining that. Like the reason she's still around in the messages and the vibe is because he's still talking to her. If women don't get enabled, they usually fuck off. Like, you know what I mean? Like we find something else to do with our time or whatever. But if they keep bothering us, we're just a girl. Like we might dwindle. We get emotionally attached to these people. It's hard to let go. But if you want to let go and they're not contacting you, you're moving on.
And I think some people are like, "Oh, well, no, not me. I have a okay relationship with our ex. It's really platonic." And I'm like, okay, cool, but I think that's few and far between. I think that is the exception, not the rule. At least for me, this is how I feel. Especially if you were not friends before you started dating, it's like really hard to switch into like a new relationship pattern into just being friends.
I think if not enough time has passed and it's not like your besties, I don't really care. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you're not touching, you're not like going off into a corner and having a little chat, but you're like in the same room. It was a while ago. We're cordial with each other, but we don't kiki like that. Okay. I think that's cool because I'm cool with like most people I have dated in the past. I can be in the same room and I'm not gonna like cause a scene. But that.
Oh, not
like,
me. Just joking. No, but I agree. Like, but I'm just saying, if they've recently broken up and they are hanging out,
that's
they're
still her
hanging out.
man. That's
Yeah.
still her man. Yeah.
They're hooking
No,
up.
I
I bet
agree.
you.
I I don't know. I couldn't tell you what people do, but probably. Yo, feelings they get all mushy, it. You know what I mean? And usually the last thing you do cut off is that. So, tread out with your caution. Another one for me, the military, it's going to be a no for me, babes.
A hard no.
A hard no. I've seen what goes on there. I've lived it. And I don't think I need to do it again. So yeah, you know what I mean? I think I'm good. I don't think I need to fuck around and find out too much about that one. That one's self-explanatory. If you don't know about it, go on TikTok, just search military men. You will find all the information you need.
Don't believe us? Go check.
Okay, another one. These are like social media behaviors, which I am now more attuned to since the last time we did red flags. I wasn't one to go through like who people follow when you first start talking to people, but there is a pattern in that. Unfortunately, if they just follow a lot of women, that tends to be bad. Sometimes I go through someone's following and they only follow like I don't know, like random accounts of their hobbies and things like that, and other guys they went to college with, and I'm like, wow.
What a great use of social media.
Wholesome.
Okay, so have I told you about bro, honestly, like, I'm so mad that Instagram took away the feature where you could see people's likes, but this was back in the day when you could see what people liked. My friend was dating this guy, and he didn't follow any of these women, but he liked a lot of them, like liked the photos of a lot of them. And they were literally just OnlyFans and like porn stars, da 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 da. And she brought it up to him, like, what the fuck is this? And he was like, ah ha ha, like, he just didn't have anything to say about it because I don't know if he was just like, I think he was like a little bit older, or maybe he doesn't use social media like that, so he did not know that you could like see someone's likes, and he literally had no response. And I was like, girl, you have to break up with him. Like, that is crazy.
People out themselves on like social media behavior because the algorithm knows so much about you that like when you go to your explore page on Instagram, it will put based on like your interest in the shit that you consume, right? So I would say maybe look at that, what theirs looks like. If it's like all like big booty bitches, like you may be in for a spin, like. Also, I will say if they like, if they repost like reels, is because obviously that comes up in their algorithm, and you should see what the account names are. There's some that are like fuckboy problems, and I'm like, oh, like,
yeah.
And you can go see what the page has, what content they're consuming, because it's probably going to tell you a lot about them.
I totally agree with that. And like, also another thing is, if they're liking girls' photos that don't look anything like you, that's a red flag. Like, I swear to, like,
Whoops.
no, like, I'm saying, like, sometimes people won't say they have a type, but then you go on their Instagram followings and they have a type because of the type of girls that they follow and the girls that they're liking their photos of. It's like, okay, and then if that's not me, then it's like, interesting. Like, that's a weird data point.
It's a weird data point. Something to consider.
Yeah.
Another red flag that I have found on social media, if they're like too private on social media, like I don't know, like I was seeing somebody and they didn't have like any photos. It was just like stories and like very minimal information. And he said he liked to keep it private, but I just thought it was very convenient that like there's no post, so you can't see like who likes your stuff and who you're interacting with. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's no shade behind it, but there could be. And that's a very easy way to not be transparent with like who's all up in your comments. Because like if you post a picture and I post a little like heart fire emoji and you have another girlfriend, well, she would probably know right away that, there's something going on. But if you don't have any content that tells people that, it's a little sus. Yeah.
Okay. So have you seen that Love Island clip where she goes, what are your long-term goals? And he goes, what do you mean? And she goes, like your goals long term.
Yeah.
I literally was like, oh my God, that is such a red flag, just because I feel like if you don't have long term goals, or just for the reason that, like, do we have compatible long term goals? If you don't even know what the fuck you want long term, then how do I know if we're going to be compatible long term? I feel like everyone's goals change and stuff, but like, if you don't have an idea of what you want out of your life, how do I know if we're going to be a good fit? And that being said, I literally don't know, like, when I meet some people's like significant others or people they're like dating casually, and I'm talking to them for like 30 minutes and I'm like, girl, why are you dating this guy? He
No,
doesn't want
they're
you
not
what you
compatible.
want. I was like, you guys aren't compatible. And she's like, well, he's really nice. Da, da, da. I was like, I don't give a fuck. You want kids and he literally doesn't. What the fuck are you doing? You know? I was like, are you trying to like hurt yourself? Like, what is this shit? It literally is baffling. I can't figure that one out. And I swear to God, it's so confusing.
You know, this might not be the best advice. I'm yet to test this theory out a few more times, but I think that if you want to know if something is gonna last or not, just apply a little pressure or on the areas where you need clarity on. And it's not like pressure in like, oh, I want a relationship, but maybe in like where you see your future and see if they align with that and see how they react. Because like I was seeing somebody who was like severely younger than me, so I was like, I just don't think they're in the same stage in life. And we were on a date, and I was just like, well, like I kind of want this, and this is what my life looks like, and like like all my kind of more relationship stuff. And he started panicking. Okay. So I was
Yeah.
like, I think I'm overwhelming him. And some people will be like, don't come off so intense. Like, you're gonna scare them. At the end of the day, if they're not ready for something and they're not gonna step up, you should probably know that, before. In the beginning, not later on when you're like 2 years in and he's like, actually, I don't know if I'm ready for this. It's like, oh, we did kind of like, I already had this idea 2 years ago, and like the fact that like it's not sought out until 2 years later and now you're not ready for it, I think that just saves you a lot of time to see where people are in their lives, just to talk about like your goals and where you see your life, and ask them like, do you think you can meet me in that? They might not. They might know that they can't meet you on that.
Compatibility, I feel like, is like the thing that's overlooked oftentimes. It's like, or something that people don't think about. And like, dude,
Mhm.
I ask a lot of questions. Like, obviously, I'm a conversationalist. It isn't like a fucking interview. But like, no, I try to ask a lot of questions early on just because I'm like, are we fucking compatible? Like, for instance, I I would literally never date someone who wasn't interested in travel. Like, there's literally no, like, or something else. Like, this is a red flag. I think we've mentioned it before. But if you are a picky eater, I literally will not date you. And I saw this TikTok of this girl that went to Thailand, and she was like, I don't know what to eat here. And I'm like, girl, why would you go? Why would you go on a whole ass trip to another country knowing that you're a picky eater? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't think I could vibe with someone who was a picky eater because, and that's just something about me. Some people might not give a fuck about that. Some people don't care about travel. Some people can travel on their own. What the fuck ever. But it's like, if you don't ask someone, what's your traveling style? Like, you need to ask questions that are related to the life that you want to have. If you don't want to have kids and you're super firm about that, you gotta bring that shit up early on, because people will be like, oh, you can't bring up if you don't want to have kids on a second date. And I'm like, oh, I definitely do, because what the fuck? I'm gonna wait 6, 10, 15 dates in and then find out this guy wants fucking 6 kids. What do I look like? A dummy? Don't think so.
I can't pop out that many kids. What's the stretch?
Dude, honestly, it's so funny when a guy's like, oh, like, I want 6 kids. And I'm like, 35. Are you want to have your last kid when you're like, what? Like, you're like, have you thought this through? And they're like, well, I kind of like the idea. And I'm like, okay, so if you want to have 6 kids, you're going to have to like start now, or you're going to have kids into your 50s. And they're like, oh, I've never really thought about it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think back to like the no plan, no direction, or Delulu expectations. This one is a red flag for me as well, just because if you don't know where you're going, then where are we going? You know what I mean? Like, where are we going? Um, it's tough. It's tough out there when people don't have like hobbies or like any aspirations for anything to better themselves, and they're kind of in a spot where like I could do this or I could do that. I'm like, you seem to have a lot of questions. Maybe you should seek those answers because yeah, like I think I've just learned when people are in an ambiguous place in their life, right? Especially men where they could like lean one way, lean another, and don't have like a very specific sort of like direction they want to go in, that person's gonna waste your time. And this isn't just men, I think it's anybody. Like I truly like and I think I've wasted my own time not knowing where I'm going or what I'm doing, like the no direction, just vibes. I think when you're feeling like that, that's the time when you're like, I should probably just be alone and figure this one out. Because once you start having direction, things can start lining up for you. But if you don't know what the fuck, like a person isn't going to be the direction. You kind of have to figure that out for yourself. Because once you acquire the person, but you still have no direction, and your direction takes you somewhere else, then that person's going to have to adapt to your direction, right? And that's a lot harder than if you already were like set in motion somewhere.
Yes, and it's like if they don't know where they're going, then they don't know how you fit into the plan. And I think it becomes a part where you don't fit into the plan anymore because they found a new plan that doesn't include you. And once someone already has a plan, they can already kind of have the vision of how someone else is going to fit into that. I've had like the situation where my heart was a little bit broken because they were trying to figure it out while they were dating me. And then once they figured it out, I was like, I no longer fit. And I was like, dang. I wish you would have just figured this out because now I'm attached. Now I like you. And I figured out how you were going to fit into my plan because I already had a plan.
This happens a lot. I also see this like I was seeing somebody and it ended, and basically he was like, yeah, like I don't really have a plan right now, and I don't see how you fit in it because there is no plan. And I was like, okay. And I recently ran into him, and I was like, oh shit, like, you know, and you're just like, oh, I still miss this person, I still have feelings for this person, but I was like, not enough time has passed for this man to have a plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there is no way this motherfucker already has a plan. So let me distance myself from that situation because unless a lot has changed, then nothing has really changed. Oof. No plan is bad. No plan is a really big red flag.
It's just a ship out to sea where you can go any direction, but like if you don't know which way is land, like are we ever gonna get there? We're just gonna be stuck out at sea forever.
Yeah, and I'm a plan-oriented girly. I just need to know what I'm getting myself into, you know? And I remember one time when I was seeing this guy and he was low-key seeing his ex-girlfriend the entire time, and I like found out, and I didn't really want to say anything like on this car ride home that I made him take me on. I was like, so what was the plan here? You know?
That's my favorite.
Yeah, like, and then that's when you realize there was no thoughts behind. There's no plan. There was no plan. There was just directionless, and then that's when things go bad. At least if you have a plan, then you know at least you're gonna get somewhere. But no plan.
See, that's the thing that I think like let me heal a little bit in certain situations because I'm like, you know what? They really didn't have a plan. And my mistake was coupling up with a dude who had no fucking plan. Because when you don't have any plan, you don't have any direction, you're just going through life and just kind of not really thinking about it. You can decide that you're going to go on a date with another girl because we don't have a plan. I'm just doing whatever.
I've been saying this as a joke, but it's not really a joke anymore. That my friends ask me like, "Oh, are you like gonna go on dates again, or like whatever? You're gonna see other people?" And I'm like, honestly, I'm not taking anybody seriously unless they come up to me with like a 5-year plan and how they see me in it. Okay, I need like essay format, like write that down, see how the things I've told you align with your plan for 5 years. Even if it doesn't work out, at least I know that you're like contemplating me. In all these aspects of your life. And I don't want it. Don't waste my time.
Baby, have a plan. Come correct.
Have a plan. Okay, yeah. It doesn't take more than like a few hours to write up. If you can't give me that, then I'm probably not sure.
Yeah, it's like think about it for like, I don't know, a day. Go on a little walkie walk and figure out what the fuck you want to do with your life, babes. Or just kick rocks.
Don't bother me. Oh, I have a red flag. Okay, this one is if you're dating somebody and they start dressing nicer out of nowhere. There's another girl. Okay, I dated a boy for 5 years and his style never got better. I had to start dressing him. Okay, but if he suddenly out of nowhere, when this man's like already insecure, like and starts dressing better and starts just like accessorizing a little bit more, in my experience, he's entertaining multiple women.
You're funny.
Watch out for that.
Honestly, I guess my biggest red flag, this is gonna sound so funny, but like, I feel like someone who doesn't read, no, that's not for me anymore. I feel like, come on, babes, we gotta read. When's the last time you read a book? The last time you read the book was in fucking 10th grade? You had 2 more grades after that. What happened? You're 35 and you haven't read a book since high school?
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
No, babes.
Vocabulary is probably really small too.
It's just like, open your mind.
Red flags. There's not just red flags in relationships. There's also red flags in friendship.
Mm-hmm.
One of my biggest red flags is if like you're talking to somebody and they somehow will spin it back to them constantly. Like you can't finish your story without them going back to like a tale that they already told you about. Like, babes, I love you, but you may need a therapist to work this one out.
I think for mine is that, like, babes, we gotta be mentally in a good place. Not all the time, but I'm just saying. Or you have to start working it out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, this is the time where if you don't figure it out now, you're not gonna figure it out. This is just who you are. So at least be working on it or be self-aware that's something you want to work on. But if you're just, like, raw dogging depression and anxiety, it's just not going to work out in the long run. It's really hard to support when someone doesn't want to work on it.
We talked about this one, like how they talk about their other friends. Like if they talk shit about their other friends, they're probably talking shit about you. It's just not your moment yet. You know what I mean?
Or it is your moment, babes. You just don't know it. That's the other part.
Yeah, that is.
Talk about everyone with everybody.
Yeah, you're just not in the room. For me, it's like with guys or like relationships, if you're talking to somebody and they all of a sudden like when you bring it up they're like, oh my god, I like them too. We just can't. I've had instances where like I meet people like with me and one of my friends that like we both find cute and like we're both like Latina, so but we look kind of similar, so I think this has been probably the best situation because we just get it. Like we might both be into the dude. We'll just both go up and say hello. And usually the dude will very quickly tell you who he's like attracted to. The other one just backs off. No shame, no whatever. Like, okay, cool. And honestly, that has been, yeah.
There's so many fish in the sea. Yeah. Why the fuck? Especially if I don't know somebody, what the fuck ever. Let me just move on. Let me find somebody else. There's fucking 10,000 people in this room. I'll just go find someone else. I just am not interested in that. I also just feel like, I guess this is another one, but a person who like lacks boundaries or can't put boundaries up with other people, babes. Okay, what are we gonna do here? I don't want to hear about it unless you're gonna put up a boundary. I'm not putting up a boundary for you, so I don't want to hear about it.
People who avoid conflict overall, some of it is boundary setting. If they're not avoiding conflict, most likely, if they are avoiding conflict, most likely they're talking shit. Because like everybody gets upset about things, you know what I mean? But unless you're like communicating and setting boundaries and letting another person know that shit bothers you, you usually end up talking about it with somebody. Like this is the biggest thing when my friends are like, "Oh, she did this and it bothered me." I'm like, does she know that bothered you? Like, have you communicated that you don't like that behavior? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, you should probably say something.
Step number 1, say something about it.
And if you've said something about it and then they do it again, then be a crazy bitch. You should, bro. You should. At that point, you've let it be known, and they decided to do it knowing that you didn't like that. What you do after that? It's up to you. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a lot, but honestly, I just like to vibe with people who are as generous as I am. Because I swear to God,
Um,
people who get petty with like Venmo requests drive me nuts. And I just mean that by like, girl, if you are sending me an itemized receipt for a night out and I paid for things, that's whack.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, you better be including the 3 Ubers I bought into this Venmo request, you know?
Yeah, or just be clear. I like to make like financial boundaries very clear. Like I don't like to overcommit and I do not like to keep up with people. So I'm gonna let people know like I'm not trying to spend money today like that. You know what I mean? So it's like if people
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, I want to buy this and I want to do that." And I'm like, "Okay, but I have already boys that like I'm not trying to spend money the way you're trying to spend money tonight. If you want to like get something for the table or whatever, I cannot contribute to this. So like don't add me to this plan." You know what I mean? Like and then at the end that's like their own decision of what they want to do and how they want to do it. But yeah, just letting people know how it is from the beginning, I think is kind of like the vibe because having conversations with friends about money can get so awkward. And that it really shouldn't, but
Yeah.
it comes down to people's like their own relationship with money at the end of the day. It's like some people like project their relationship with money, other people just like a pride thing. I don't know. They're just like weird conversations to have. So setting just like the vibe since the beginning about anything, right? Or if I have different friendships and money situations with different people. Like I would say there's some people that I just buy things and then they buy things and we never really like settle up just because we like kind of keep tab.
Yeah.
But then there's friends that like, oh, I just paid for a bunch of things. So like let me let you know when I need this buy back.
Honestly, like obviously I try to communicate and I just feel like I just hate when I get a topsy-turvy Venmo request where it's like, okay, so I don't know. I've just had so many situations where I'm just like, okay, well, sure, I guess I'll just have to Venmo request you back, but you could have also done that calculation yourself. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like we both know how much dinner was and we both know how much drinks were. So if you're going to Venmo request me for drinks, but we know how much dinner was, come on, babes. That's why I like Splitwise. That's my favorite app actually for that kind of stuff. Is it Splitwise where you just split it up
Yeah.
and then at the end everyone can pay each other back?
Okay, well that's all
That's
I
it,
got.
baby.
You got any more? Okay, well
No.
thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a beautiful, wonderful day when you hear this. Per usual, rate the podcast, write a little review, send it to a friend. It helps us out a lot. You can find us on social media at Thanks Number 4 Your Concern, and I'm at Ella L. Tudor.
I'm at Bernice Diaz.
I will see you next week. Bye.
Bye!